Hello, I'm David Breeden. I'm the senior minister at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, which is a historically humanist congregation. And this is Coffee and Wisdom, where we look at where the ideas of humanism have come from, where they are, and where they may be going. This past week, we've been looking at specifically Unitarian Universalism. What's the there? Where did it come from? What are these ideas? And so I thought today in this week, we ought to back up just a little bit and say, well, what is Christianity after all? Because it is the root of both Unitarian and Universalism. Presently, there are 2 billion people on the planet who say they're Christian. 70% of U.S. people say they are Christian. So what is it? Well, there are 4 branches, large branches within Christianity: the Roman Catholic Church, which is the largest; Eastern Orthodox; Oriental Orthodox, which is a much smaller offshoot; and then the various kinds of Protestantisms, which of course is where Unitarian and Universalism do come from. And it's kind of amazing because, this is the Hagia Sophia, one of the biggest churches in the world. Now it was built as a Christian church. Now it is a mosque, the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. And you got the dog trot 2-room cabin down here, which was the beginnings of a Presbyterian sect in Tennessee. So we got a lot of different kinds of Christianities, a lot of different applications. What's up with that? Well, there are some things that are the beef between Christians. There has been over 2,000 years to get some disagreements going after all. First is Christology. I'm just going to go through these as the theological terms, and then we'll back up again. So Christology, pneumatology, cosmology, anthropology, Mariology, angelology, theodicy, harmoniology, which I can hardly say, soteriology, missiology, and ecclesiology. And that's a lot to disagree about, but those are all very funny words, so why would we bother discussing them? Well, Christology, who was Jesus? That makes a big difference if Jesus is part of the Trinity, if he didn't exist at all, if it doesn't matter if he existed at all. Was he a really good person? You have to decide if you're going to be a Christian. Pneumatology, you can see that comes from pneumatic. It's all of these are Greek words in the beginning anyway. That's air, right, or spirit. How does God act in the world? Is there such a thing as a Holy Spirit? Something is acting in the world, maybe, and Christians tend to think so. Not all do. But what is the pneumatology? How does God act in the world? Well, and then what's the world? What is the cosmos like? Is there a heaven up there and a hell down below? Is there a throne somewhere? Where does all this go? And of course, the cosmology of the human race has changed since the beginnings of Christianity, and that also has some bearing on these things. Are there aliens? Would they be Christian? All good questions. Anthropology is, what does it mean to be human? Did God make humanity in his, her, its image? Maybe. If that's true, what does that mean? Right? Or if evolution is true, what does that mean for Christianity? Good questions. Mariology, what does Mary have to do with any of this? We know the story, and we know that the outgrowths of that story through the last couple thousand years. But what is she? And as you know, it's a basic disagreement between Protestants and Catholics. Roman Catholics. Angelology, are there heavenly messengers that come down, and what do they do once they get here? Do they blow trumpets? Do they announce various things from heaven? Do they watch over little children as they sleep? What do angels do, and are there any? And then one of the biggest ones is theodicy. That is, why do terrible things happen? If God is all-powerful, why do good people get cancer, drown in hurricanes? Why? Why would this happen? And this is a central question in the various Christian sects. Harmoniology, the one that I find hard to pronounce, harmatia is the Greek word for sin. What is a sin? Or is there any such thing as a sin? And if there is, what do we do about it, right? So, good question. Soteriology, what did the death of Christ mean? Was there a Christ? And if he died, what did that mean? And if he did die, did he come back to life? Did he come back to life for real? We could take a Polaroid picture of it. Or was it some kind of metaphorical thing? Various Christianities out there, various disagreements about that. And as I mentioned yesterday, did he have to die in the first place? Again, these things cropped up very early because there was no central authority until the 400s within any of this Christian development. So all of these ideas are changing and morphing, and a lot of heresies are getting invented during this time. So soteriology, what does the death on the cross mean? Then missiology. Should we convince others, and how? Yes, you probably have had some Christians knocking on your door to convert you to their particular belief system. Should you do that? There are missionary Baptists and there are Southern Baptists, and they don't agree on missiology, and that's why they're separate. So what do we do now that we know this true message? And then ecclesiology, how do we do church? The ecclesia, how do we do church? All Greek words again. So also there are a few other little things that have come up over time. What's the role of scriptures? Are they divinely inspired? Is every one of the words in there divinely inspired? What does that mean if it's true? What does it mean if it's not true? And who gets to be pope? And does a pope matter? And who's the leader of any particular religious tradition? So, oh my, there are a lot of things for 2 billion people over more than 2,000 years to disagree about. And that is where Unitarian Universalism comes from. Unitarians and Universalists, through time, the traditions have changed on every one of these particular little Greek terms in Christian theology. And even though many Unitarian Universalists are not in any way, shape, or form Christian anymore, these did shape how we still practice the ways of doing things within Unitarian Universalism today. So that's the big picture there for 2 billion people. If you can email me, and I would be glad to send you these terms if you really want to start looking them up, because there are a lot of them out there. Christology, pneumatology, cosmology, anthropology, Mariology, angelology, theodicy, harmoniology, which I can never say, soteriology, missiology, and ecclesiology, and lots of things to disagree about. And that's what we'll be talking about next week when we consider what is Unitarian Universalism, what is the there. Sunday at 10:30 a.m., we will be broadcasting our Sunday assembly. I will be speaking on the topic, I Hear You, acoustically. That is, how do we listen to each other? What are we doing when we listen to each other? And where's the hope in this very disheveled time that we're currently living in? Also on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, a new thing we're doing, Bibles and Beer, Humanist Bible Study. You don't have to drink beer, but we will definitely be considering the first chapter of Genesis. What's it look like? Where does it come from? How many pieces are shoved together, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll be talking about that on Wednesday. Thanks for joining me today. You can find out more about Unitarian Universalism and our own brand of humanism at FUS on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also you can help us out keeping the word going by going to PayPal or firstunitarian.org/donate. Thanks so much, and I hope you put on your questioning hat and think about some of these things today. I'll see you next week.